You know, when we think about miracles, we usually picture these, I don't know, random, totally unexplainable events, right? But what if they're not random at all? What if they're actually part of a really structured, logical argument? For centuries, that's exactly how they've been used to make a case for divine proof. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack that whole theological argument, piece by piece, to see how it's all put together. I mean, think about it for a sec. Have you ever seen something that just made you go, whoa? You know, like a moment of impossible timing, or someone making a recovery that was just against all the odds, a sight that just didn't compute. Well, those moments of wonder, where the normal rules just seem to bend a little, that's exactly where this whole argument kicks off. See, within the framework we're exploring today, these moments aren't just seen as random, weird things. No, they're treated as potential evidence. Our goal here is to really get into the nitty-gritty, to unpack the precise logic of that framework and show you exactly how this argument is built from the ground up. Okay, first things first. Before we can really dig into the argument, we have to get on the same page about the key term. The entire structure, everything we're about to talk about, rests on a very, very precise definition of what a miracle actually is. Okay, so this definition is super precise, and trust me, every single word here counts. Let's break it down. Sensible effect. That just means you have to be able to see it, touch it, observe it with your senses. Wrought by God, that one's pretty clear. It points to a divine cause. But here's the kicker, the really crucial phrase, surpasses the power and order of created nature. What that means is it's an event that the laws of nature all by themselves just can't explain. No way, no how. The source we're looking at goes even deeper, breaking this down into 3 different categories. First, a miracle can blow past nature in its very essence. Think about something like a glorified, resurrected body. Nature just can't do that. Second, in its subject. So nature can create sight, sure, but it can't just give sight to an eye that's been blind from birth. And finally, in its mode. Nature might be able to cure a fever over time, but not instantly, on command. See the difference? So, now that we have that really precise definition locked in, the argument can start to build. The next step is to see how the very possibility of a miracle is used as proof for the existence of God in the first place. And this slide just nails the core idea here. The argument basically sets up this face-off between 2 totally different ways of seeing the world. On one side, you've got naturalism. Think of it like a closed box. Everything that happens inside the box is governed only by physical laws. That's it. But a miracle, if one actually happens, well, it's like it punches a hole right through the side of that box. It suggests the universe isn't a closed system at all. It's an open one, where some higher power can reach in and intervene. And this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. It's a huge deal in Catholic theology. The Church officially calls miracles the most certain signs of God revealing himself. Basically, they're seen as clear, powerful evidence that's designed for everyone to be able to understand. This whole idea got really formalized over time. Back in the 19th century, the First Vatican Council came right out and declared that miracles aren't just nice stories. They are essential proof, key pieces of evidence used to argue that faith actually lines up with reason. So from that broad foundation, the argument starts to narrow down, kind of like a funnel. The next layer gets way more specific. It's all about the miracles performed by Jesus, and what, according to the argument, they were meant to prove. According to the source material, these actions weren't just random acts of kindness. They were signs, pointers to a very specific identity. I mean, calming a storm with a word, or forgiving sins, those were seen as things that only God had the authority to do. So by doing them, Jesus was basically showing, not just telling, people who he was. But of all of these incredible works, there's one that stands completely apart. It's considered the ultimate proof in this argument, the absolute cornerstone of the entire claim. The resurrection is presented as the final word, the mic drop. It's seen as the ultimate miracle that proves all of Jesus' other claims were true. The thinking goes, if he could literally conquer death, well then his claims to be divine are confirmed. Okay, but that raises a good question, right? What about all the other supernatural stuff people have reported? The argument has to have an answer for that. So how does the source sort through all these different claims? The framework it presents makes a really sharp distinction. On one side, you have divine miracles. These come from God, and their purpose is to confirm truth. But on the other side, you have what are called demonic prodigies. These are also supernatural events, but they're sourced from beings who are opposed to God, and their whole purpose is to confuse or deceive. The classic example given is the story of Moses versus Pharaoh's sorcerers. They both seem to be doing supernatural things, but only Moses' power was meant to reveal divine truth. So, what about miracles reported in other Christian denominations? Well, the argument presented here is that these miracles often end up affirming truths that are shared with Catholicism, like the divinity of Christ, for example. So the act itself might be seen as coming from God, but it isn't viewed as a blanket endorsement of every single belief that person or church holds. And all of this, step by step, leads us to the final and most specific claim in this whole logical chain, the idea that miracles serve as proof for the divine foundation of the Catholic Church itself.
And here we are, at the very end of the argument's path. The conclusion is this: if God is still working miracles through the saints and the sacraments of one specific institution, then that is seen as an ongoing divine thumbs up, proof that the Church was founded by Christ and continues to operate with his authority.
So this is where the rubber really meets the road. This slide lays out the specific evidence used for that final claim, linking particular miracles to doctrines that are uniquely Catholic. So, for example, you have Eucharistic miracles, which are presented as solid proof of the real presence. Or the incorruptibility of saints' bodies. That's tied directly to the Immaculate Conception. Marian apparitions, well, they're seen as confirming Mary's special role. And the famous healings at Lourdes are argued to show God's hand still at work. You see how it works? Each example is meant to be a piece of evidence for a specific belief. And look, the argument isn't just leaning on stuff that happened thousands of years ago. Check out this number. 70,000. That's the estimated crowd that supposedly witnessed the miracle of the sun at Fatima back in 1917. And here's the wild part. That crowd included skeptical journalists. The whole point of bringing this up is to say, hey, this isn't just ancient history. This is modern, public, and supposedly verifiable evidence of something incredible happening. All right, so there you have it. We've walked through the whole logical structure, right? From a very specific definition of a miracle all the way to a final, really specific claim. The argument, from start to finish, presents miracles not just as these fuzzy matters of faith, but as objective, observable evidence. And that leaves us with one last, pretty fascinating question to chew on. If that's the case, what does it imply about the real relationship between faith and reason?